as we were moving into an environment for knowledge building in academia and secondary primary schools, it's going to be out of the classroom for a while for many, many students, millions, if you go worldwide. The question is, how do you keep learning, or how do you keep connectedness with science and the gifts it offers us? And Sarah McNulty, who's here, who's a research professor at the University of Connecticut, a student of squid behavior and biology. The reason we're talking today is because of Skype a Scientist, which started as a hashtag and now is a real thing. So connecting students and thousands of students and their teachers with scientists who could be anywhere on the planet if you have connectivity, I assume. So I thought you might have some lessons for folks on having dived into the world of connectedness, even when people can't be in the same room. So what does it feel like right now? And then we'll go back to how this all started for you.
Yeah, I mean, right now, it's more important than ever that people, first of all, are trusting scientists over their friends on Facebook. I think a lot of kind of what's happened in the last decade is that we've seen people kind of not know who to trust in society. So they may put on one news channel or another and see conflicting information, and it's just kind of left people confused as to who to trust. And so I think it's on us as scientists to make people feel more comfortable trusting scientists and knowing where to find us. And so Skype a Scientist is a platform that helps scientists connect and helps people who aren't scientists find the experts that they need to talk to. And so we match up about 10,000 scientists with classrooms every year. We also do library groups, groups of adults. Any group of 5 people will match with a scientist for a Q&A session. We specifically want our interactions to be conversations and not lectures. And in this day and age, particularly when it comes to coronavirus, a little more lecture may be appropriate just to get people some base information on what's going on. But we really want people to feel like they've gotten the chance to meet a scientist and not just get talked at by one.
So how did you stumble into or pursue this, in the first place? How long ago, and how did this all come about?
Yeah, so it was back in 2017, in January 2017. There was just a lot of energy in the scientific community after the election, and no one, there was just a lot of anxiety, and no one really knew what to do with themselves to make things better. And so I wanted to develop something that would give scientists something to do that would be overall beneficial. And so I got kicking around ideas with other people on Twitter, and we just kind of came up with the idea, and then I ran with it to see how far we could go. And we had about 800 classrooms sign up in the first couple months and about 500 scientists. And ever since, it's just been growing from there.
Does this feel, is this a moment when there's been more interest the last few days, weeks?
The last couple days, absolutely. We generally have a huge spike of signups in the beginning of the semester, but we've seen an uptick in classrooms again signing up because there's so many people going to digital.
Right. It must feel like a scramble to many of them. I'm
sure. I mean, being told that you have to get your class online in 2 days is not trivial. And my heart goes out to all the educators right now who are having to do that.
Right.
And to all the students who don't have internet at home. It's bad.
Right. And from what I've seen there, that's part of the scramble school systems have to make sure that as we transition to more distance learning, that it's still equitable.
Right. Yeah. I wish I had better answers for that.
Along with just making it more of not a lecture.
Right.
What are some of the key tips that you would give for scientists or any other practitioners? This could be for a nurse or a journalist, to connect with people too. So what are the tips you have to speak with classrooms?
I would say particularly for anyone who's in a laboratory setting or in a setting that isn't super familiar to the audience, just if you can pick up your computer and walk the people you're talking to around your space, that tends to be pretty engaging. Like, many people have never seen a fancy microscope, have never seen fluorescence, or any number of things that you may think are everyday normal items for your line of work. And that can be super exciting for kids in particular. And also, if you can have any visual aid, that can be good too. I mean, a lot of times the things that we're saying are interesting, but for example, when I'm working up in the squid lab, you can bet I'm going to bring a squid and show it to people. I mean, squid are maybe more engaging than your average lab thing, but even things that you might not think are interesting can be pretty cool. So kind of like ahead of time, try to think of your jobs or your expertise as like greatest hits, and try to bring them into the conversation visually or with stories.
Sounds good. And have you had a mix of people doing this who are in the field as opposed to just sitting at home or in a lab? Does that seem to make a difference when as you were kind of implying, it seems to work well when you're in your research environment?
Yeah, it really does. So we've had people Skype with folks from sea, from boats, and then they've picked their computers up and walked around like the research lab on a boat in the ocean, which is pretty wild. And we've had one happen from Antarctica, and we've had a couple happen in the field, but some people, their field sites are so remote that the internet connections aren't quite strong enough to make it happen. But yeah, I mean, if you can have internet at your field site, that's amazing. But that's kind of a mix of luck in addition to preparation.
Has there been any particular one you've either participated in or seen that you feel really took it to a new level? Anyone done this underwater or
no one's done underwater, but that would be super cool. I think so. Pete Gerges, he's a deep sea biologist at Harvard. He did one from the research vessel, and that was one of my favorite ones for sure. And then we had Imogene Cancellari. She had a bunch of skulls out of like different types of carnivore skulls, and she was telling us all about those, and that was pretty neat. It doesn't have to be like total razzle dazzle, but it's anything that you can kind of bring in there is helpful.
So what's the next frontier? Do you think there's something more that can be done to make this more natural, more, what are the keys to making it more impactful?
Yeah. So, I mean, unfortunately, we're just starting a bunch of stuff that was going to be happening in real life. So helping scientists go out and meet people in real life. But the last week, we just like hit the brakes on that because we need to wait until the virus kind of works its course. So we're going to be doing a lot of just kind of like playing around and seeing with what works, what doesn't. And I think it's really going to be important that we're all talking to each other on Twitter to kind of share what we're learning as we're going. I mean, we've certainly done many Skype a Scientist sessions, but we may need to fill niches that we're currently being filled by teachers in real life. And so it's kind of hard to predict what is going to be coming next, but we're kind of like, we're learning as we go. And every day I feel like it's different than the day before with how quickly this is all changing.
For sure. Well, it's great to connect with you finally. We've been talking about this for a long time.
Yeah.